Welcome to the Coaching Corner, where we help you unleash calm confidence, command the career of your dreams, and get the salary you deserve. Hi there, shining stars. Today we're diving in deep. We'll be talking about a topic that's both sensitive and incredibly vital: the link between childhood trauma and our confidence in the workplace. Now, I understand this might hit close to home for some, but remember, this is a safe space and we're all here to grow and heal and uplift one another. Our past, especially our childhood, plays a huge role in shaping who we become. For some of us, this past carries the heavy weight of trauma, which can manifest in numerous ways as we step into the professional world. Now, there's different types of trauma. There's big trauma, there's micro trauma, and everything in between. The trauma we're talking about today are micro traumas. Have you ever found yourself hesitating to take up a leadership role? Or maybe you feel a knot in your stomach at the thought of asking for a deserved raise. Well, sometimes these fears stem from unresolved trauma. There could be avoidance, fear of rejection, procrastination. Unresolved trauma might show up as avoiding responsibilities, fearing networking, or even procrastinating on seizing new opportunities. But here's the thing, it's not about what happened, but about how we can heal, grow, and move forward. So how do we go from trauma to triumph? Well, there's 4 things I want to share with you today. Recognize and accept. It begins with acceptance, understanding that it's okay to seek help and that healing is a journey, not a destination. Seek support, whether it's therapy, counseling, coaching, or just talking to someone you trust. It makes a difference. Also, number 3, surround yourself with uplifting and supportive individuals. Their experiences might be able to guide you and be invaluable. I think that it's really important to make sure that you go to a therapist if the feelings are overwhelming and too big, and go to a friend for things that are smaller or not so huge, right? That don't have such control over us. Empower yourself through affirmations, cognitive techniques, or simply setting small, achievable goals. So I'd like to talk with you about how trauma is held in the body. And so let's take a dive into that and what that means for you when all of a sudden you find yourself glitching. I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but where you're in a meeting, you know the material you've presented before, but something happens, some circumstance happens within this particular situation that has you shut down, and you don't understand why. Well, it could be that the trauma is held in your body. So let's take a deep dive into what that looks like. How trauma might be impacting your career. Have you ever found yourself in the middle of a conversation and suddenly you freeze up and you have no idea why your brain is disconnecting or short-circuiting? Well, it could be from previous trauma. So let's get into it. Okay, it sounds like it's unbelievable, I know, but you might have had some serious childhood trauma, but it doesn't even have to be serious childhood trauma. It could just be these micro traumas that happened to us. It could have been a moment that happened during a conversation that reminded you of a time in the past when you shut down. Something about that conversation triggered you to just go into this autopilot reaction. And so you might be thinking, what? I don't remember anything. Well, guess what? Your body certainly does. You see, our bodies hold our memories in certain circumstances when you've experienced micro trauma. So let me give you an example. I love dogs. Big dogs, little dogs, black and white dogs. Oh, sorry. I went off on a Dr. Seuss tangent. What can I do? So here's what happened. I was walking with a dog I was attempting to train. I went to the pound. I wanted a dog that would fit in well with our family and my kids running around the house. A calm, chill kind of dog, right? Easy around the kids. Well, instead, we went home with a border collie mix, which started hurting my children and nipping at them. Not her fault, the dog's fault. It was mine, right? I didn't research first. Anyway, I'm trying to train this dog, and a huge dog in our neighborhood got loose. Now, he came up and touched my elbow with his nose. So I'm trying to hold the dog and train her on this side, and all of a sudden I feel this touch on my elbow. Now, I'm 6 feet tall, so this gives you some idea about the size of this dog in our neighborhood, who's known for being aggressive, who apparently jumps the fence every so often. So turns out he was letting me know he was there and he wanted permission to play or eat my dog. I don't know what. I don't really have, I'm not a dog whisperer and I don't know what he wanted in that moment. But let me tell you, it scared me to pieces. I was trying to train this dog. I don't know much about dogs. And I do know this, when they feel your fear, they can sense it, they can attack you. That gives them more incentive in some cases. So absolute, utter fear flooded my body. And immediately I had to pretend that everything was okay because they can sense that and I didn't want to get eaten myself. So the cycle of emotions was crazy. He probably didn't even know what was going on. He didn't know what to sense. But I would not let him get to her. I kept turning my back to him, and he kept coming around to the front trying to get to her. And I kept repeating this, turning in circles, until someone finally saw out the window what was happening, and they came out and were able to shoo this big dog away. Okay, so what's the after effect? Logically, I know what happened. I did great under the circumstances. But the next time I was walking my dog in the neighborhood and I saw down the street a medium-sized dog on the loose, unleashed, I absolutely froze. I freaking let my dog off the leash and walked home and went inside of the house to feel safe. How is that rational? It's not. But it's what happened. The fear from the previous incident had not been worked through or desensitized, and I panicked. This is similar to what happens to people in PTSD and things like that. But this was what I considered to be a little bit above a micro trauma. But things like that happen. And what happens in our bodies, that fear and that panic is held in our bodies until we work through it. So when somebody in a conversation might remind you of that time when you maybe were standing in front of an audience at school, reading your homework, and somebody threw something at you and you felt really horrible and scared, or, just whatever childhood things happen, because childhood things happen. But whatever it is, it could be when you're in an office environment and somebody is talking to you mid-sentence, your body holds the memories. And logically, like for example, for the dog, I could tell you all day long, I know exactly what happened. I understand human psychology, but it was held in my body. So I didn't have control over how I responded. So those of you who have this experience, and it may not be that big, like that kind of a big emotion. It might be on a smaller scale where you start saying something that you start going down a path and you're just talking and not making sense, or you're glitching because you froze. And that memory of what that person was saying, or people around who might be listening, that triggered a memory for you that's held in your body that made you freeze in that moment. So it doesn't have to be a big trauma. It can be a micro trauma. So what do? Well, for me, I had to I got a big dog. My daughter adopted a huge dog. He was a puppy. So he grew up and then became big, and I overcame the fear of big dogs because my dog is 150 pounds. So it gives you some idea. And I love him to pieces, and I'm not scared of him at all, even though he could rip my face off. That's why when we have these micro traumas, it can impact our careers. And because of previous experiences that caused us to hold that fear in our body, means sometimes that we can't move forward in our career, or we can't just automatically become confident. We can't automatically just flip a switch and be something else in moments where our bodies are in control, because we've had these micro traumas. Okay, so you might get anxiety when you're presenting. You might feel like you can't accomplish things. Like I just had a mind glitch right there. It's like the Matrix. There's a glitch in the Matrix. Sometimes it just happens, but sometimes it happens where we've seen it repeatedly happening and we don't know and don't understand why. If you're interested in learning how to make a big impact in your career, and confidence and lack of certainty and maybe imposter syndrome and things like that are holding you back, then I invite you to watch my free masterclass. How smart women professionals are moving past their toxic bosses, advancing their careers, and finally getting the pay and respect they deserve without compromising their values or sanity. And if you want help right away, I have a career course that addresses this and so much more, in addition to coaching. So it's highly affordable, and it might help you remove those blocks that are standing in your way of your career goals. It's important to remember the past does not define you, but how you rise from it does. Until next time, I'm Patricia Kennedy, and I look forward to seeing you next time at the Coaching Corner.